It was a night like any other, except for the cold air biting at my skin and the weight of something that felt off. I had just returned home after a long day, thinking I could relax and unwind, but little did I know this would be the night that changed everything. As I walked through the door, I heard muffled voices from the living room. At first, I thought nothing of it. I assumed my fiancée, Emily, was on a phone call or talking to a friend. But as I walked closer, I heard something that froze me in place. I don't even know why I'm still with him. I feel like I'm settling, you know? He's not really my first choice, he's my plan B. My stomach dropped, and my mind raced. What did she mean by that? Was I hearing this right? Was I really just her backup plan, something to fall back on in case things didn't work out with whoever or whatever she was really after? I tried to calm my breathing, but I felt the panic rising in my chest. What was happening? This wasn't the person I thought I knew that I couldn't help it. I took a few steps closer, trying to get a better understanding. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I had thought we were building something real. We were planning our future, our wedding, the life we were going to create together. But now, here she was talking about me like I was some second-rate option. Her voice cracked as she continued. He's good to me, don't get me wrong. He loves me, but I don't think he's the one. I'm just waiting for something better to come along. I felt the ground beneath me shift, like the very foundation of my life was crumbling. My heart felt as if it was being ripped out of my chest, and yet my mind was racing. I knew I had to make a choice. I could walk away quietly, pretend I didn't hear anything, but how could I? How could I continue pretending that everything was fine when I was just her second choice, just her backup plan? I couldn't. I had to confront her, but I didn't know how to start. I needed time to process everything. So, I stood there in the doorway, paralyzed, unsure of whether I should let her know I had heard it all or leave quietly. Then I heard the sound of her footsteps coming closer to the door. I panicked, not knowing what to do. Should I confront her now or wait for the right moment? But then, without thinking, I just stepped forward and walked into the living room, my mind on autopilot. Emily froze, her face paling when she saw me standing there. She had no idea I had overheard anything. She opened her mouth, as if to say something, but I wasn't going to let her lie. I wasn't going to let her twist this into something that wasn't true. You don't need to say anything, I said, my voice shaking with emotion. I heard everything. I heard you talking about me, how I'm just your plan B. Her face went ashen, her eyes widened in shock. Wait, I know. I cut her off. No more lies. No more pretending. I've heard enough. You made it clear how you feel. I could see her eyes welling up with tears, but I couldn't find it in me to feel sorry for her. I had to think about myself now. The person I thought I knew was gone, replaced by someone who clearly didn't value me. The person who was supposed to love me had been waiting for someone else. She had been settling for me, waiting for a better option to come along. How could you? How could you say that about me? I asked, feeling a mix of anger and heartbreak. How long have you been thinking this way? I'm sorry, she whispered, her voice shaking. It's not like that. I didn't mean no. I interrupted, taking a deep breath. It's too late for apologies. You've already made your choice. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, watching as she broke down in front of me, her hands trembling as she wiped her tears. For a moment, I almost felt sympathy for her, but then I remembered everything she had said. All the promises, all the love she had shown me. It was all fake. She wasn't really invested. She was just waiting for something better, something or someone else. I turned away from her, my heart pounding in my chest. I couldn't be with someone who didn't choose me first. I couldn't keep living a lie. Without saying another word, I walked out of the room, grabbed my coat, and headed for the door. My heart ached as I heard her crying behind me, but I knew I had to leave. I had to be strong for myself, even if it meant breaking her heart. I could no longer live in this unhealthy relationship, constantly second-guessing myself. I slammed the door behind me as I walked into the cold night air, my emotions swirling like a storm inside of me. But deep down, I knew I had done the right thing. I couldn't keep being the fallback option, the one who was only valued when nothing else worked out. I was worth more than that. I deserved better than that. For days, I wandered through the city, not really knowing where I was going. I felt numb, empty. I couldn't escape the images of her face, her tears. But I also couldn't ignore the truth. She hadn't chosen me. And no matter how hard it hurt, I couldn't make myself stay in a relationship that wasn't built on honesty and trust. At a week passed, and Emily reached out, asking to meet. She wanted to apologize, she said. But what was there left to say? What could she say to undo the pain she had caused? I agreed to meet, not because I wanted to fix things, but because I needed closure. I needed to hear it from her own mouth. That we sat across from each other at a cafe, the air thick with tension. I could see the regret in her eyes, but it didn't matter. I had already made up my mind. I'm sorry, she said softly, her voice trembling. I never meant to hurt you. I was confused, and I made a huge mistake. You meant everything to me. Then why was I just your plan B? I asked, my voice calm but firm. Why wasn't I the one you chose? I don't know. I thought I needed something more, something different. I thought I was waiting for a sign, but all along, it was you. It was always you. Her words, her tears, they didn't change anything. I didn't feel the way I used to. She had broken my trust in a way I couldn't ignore. The hurt was too deep, and I knew I couldn't keep pretending that everything would be okay. I had to let go. I'm sorry, Emily, but we're done. I stood up, not looking back, and walked out of the cafe, knowing that it was the hardest thing I'd ever done, but also knowing it was the right thing. I was finally free, and with that, I began a new chapter in my life, one where I was no longer anyone's backup plan. I was my own first choice, and that was all that mattered.